Hey guys, this is Colin Moody. I've been doing messages on Facebook and now YouTube. YouTube is more my tool to hit Facebook more. A lot of people have time for Facebook, but not a relationship with Christ. Whether it's church, just doing something good for someone else. One thing I've realized is, following Christ is it's an amazing thing, and I love that I turn in this direction. And sometimes following Christ is just doing the simplest things. My wife, she's a medical assistant at a hospital, and I tell her, I'm like, you helping those kids and doing everything you do, you're serving God just right there. Just going and helping people. And at my job that I'm at, I'm always about my customers and the people and just helping everyone I can. And it's simple things like that, but it's also it's valuing your relationships with everything you have and taking care of them. And so in this message right now, we're gonna talk about marriage. This is my fifth one. If you haven't read any of my messages, well, now I'm doing videos, so if you haven't seen my videos or anything like that, please I ask to check them out and follow them and subscribe with me. And everyone that's been supporting, everyone that's been liking, sharing on Facebook, subscribing with me on YouTube, I just want to thank you and just tell you how much I appreciate it. And I know that I might make a video, it might not be as good as one of the others, and so I just want to thank you again and just tell you how much I appreciate it and appreciate your support. So when it comes to marriage is something, it's not something that's easy, and I believe people, they work so hard on just making the person that they fall in love with happy, and them trying to be happy also. And you get so working on your relationship, and then when your marriage comes and you guys get married, it's like, I swear, sometimes people just think it's happily ever ending after you get married, and really it's something that takes a lot of work, but it's not like it's not rewarding. I mean, when you have a marriage where both work at it and you guys, um, value your marriage, is something that, throughout whatever fights or, excuse me, um, through whatever fights or problems you have, when you work through it, it's just so amazing, and that's just one thing. When things get hard and you fight through it and you stick through and you keep your head up, it's just so rewarding. I mean, when I've gone through financial struggles, we're going through one right now, and as I go through this financial struggle, as hard as it is, I'm really thankful for it, because there's just some miracles that have happened here and there where I feel like if I didn't have my struggle, if I was rich and just had all this money, I wouldn't see how amazing it is when things happen. I had a customer, she won a lottery, and she originally gave me the raffle ticket, but after her seeing me like having it wrinkled in my wallet and everything, she offered to keep it, and so she kept it. And a month or two later, she comes back and gives me $50, and here I am. I have this 500 garnishment that's happening a month, and just all these struggles, and I actually just barely spent a little over $100 on clothes that I knew we couldn't really do, but I knew that my kids needed, clothes for the summer because it was so hot, and so I went and took a leap of faith and just going and getting these clothes. And then, no joke, the very next day, this lady comes up and gives me $50 at my store, $50 at my work, and it was from a lottery ticket that she gave to me, and I gave back to her. And she could have kept that 100, and instead she's like, you know what, I want $100, here's 50 for you, 50 for me. And it's amazing. And I always pray that I can be able to bless her the same way, or just be able to do the same thing she did for me to someone else. But again, if you don't go through struggles and you don't go through hard trials, you don't really appreciate how good it is when things go good. And I have a buddy, I think he, maybe argues a lot with his lady, but there's one time or a couple times, he tells me, how good of a day he had, when things go good. And those days when you have a relationship or marriage where things are going good, they're really just worth everything. And so I just pray for anyone and suggest that anyone going through a hard struggle in your relationship, just keep your head up. And if you really love each other, just make sure you both are working on it, and you'll get through it. And that's one thing, it's marriage is not something that is a one person job. It is two people. When you have two people working on a relationship, it's so strong. It goes through anything. In the Bible, in Ecclesiastes, I don't know if I said the word right, but chapter 9 through 12, it says this: two are better than one because they have a good return for their work. If one falls down, if one falls down, the other can pick him up. Also, if two lie down together, they can keep each other warm. But how can one keep warm? Three strands are harder to break than one. And it's just the same with two strands being harder to break than one. When you have two people working together on something, it's something that just always is stronger and better in a relationship. When it comes to that also, when things are broken, when you look at old marriages, there's a picture I saw on Facebook, and it said, with the older couple, people ask how we last. How do we last so long? And then one of the old couples, they go and say, when things are broken, we fixed it. And that's the thing, is a lot of people, they give up now, and it's just something that you got to realize that, when you get married, it's not something that's always going to be roses and be great. It's going to be something that's going to be hard. But if you work through it, you just get the best reward. You get the best team partner that, you guys know exactly how to get through stuff. And I'm very grateful for my marriage and my wife. And I mean, we're barely in the beginning, so it gets kind of scary to think about, how much stuff we'll go through. But I know that, I love her so much that, I'll do whatever and fight through whatever. But the biggest thing is my relationship with God, and that's another thing I want to talk about in this message, is my relationship with Christ. Especially, check out the devotionals Bible. Bibles are kind of set for a married couple, and mine's actually right here. I had my grandma Lorraine give me this Bible, and I appreciate it very much. But in that Bible, you'll read through it as a normal Bible, but at like the end of every chapter, it'll relate to your marriage, and it'll give you some things to think about, and I'm just all about it. I love it. But one thing I want to talk about too, because I only have 15 minutes and we're about 7 minutes already in, so I don't have that as much time. But when it comes to marriage, it needs investment, just like everything else. You need, if you want to have a good relationship with your kid, you have to put investment into it. Once they hit 12, 13, and they want to start doing things that they want to do, that they don't think that it's cool to cook cookies with mom anymore. They don't think it's cool to go fishing with dad. They kind of realize, this is kind of lame at that age, and they want to go do their teenage stuff. You have to invest time into figuring out what they want to do. And if you don't put investment into the time where your kids want to do, you're going to find a big gap starting to build. And it's the same exact way with your marriage. This is the same exact way with a lot of things. And you can have good intentions. That's one thing I realized with friends, is a lot of us, we always have intentions to hang out, but we never do. And relationships just don't take intentions, they take investments. If you want to have a good relationship with someone, a friend, your wife, your kids, you have to put investment time into it. And when it comes to investing time, in the beginning, I see a lot of things that will happen in the beginning relationship. You'll see a wife who's very down to go and watch boring guy movies, and a guy who will be down to watch the chick flicks. But after a certain time, everyone wants to kind of do their own thing. And that marriage in the beginning, you have to keep doing it throughout your marriage. It's not something that you do in the beginning, and in relationships too. And so if there's anything I can suggest, it's just make sure you're investing the same time now, just as you were doing in the beginning. Again, relationships take investment. You have to put a lot of time into it. And when it comes to strength, I would look into getting in the Bible and having a relationship with Christ and building it, because you are pretty much doomed. I mean, you're gonna have struggles, whether it's financial, marriage, someone you might lose that causes a lot of stress on your marriage, because you're just hurt over it and you don't know how to let your partner in. I would just, when you can have that kind of stuff and you can give it to God and just have him guide you through it, it's just amazing. When it comes to our financial struggles, this garnishment that I'm going through. And we've gone through worse things. I mean, we've gone through worse things when my wife was going to college and wasn't working. It was just me with our 3 kids, and things were just crazy. And we made it through, you know. And this garnishment that we're going through it now, it's a hard thing, but we've gone through worse. And now my wife has a job, and I know we can get through it. But because I have that faith, because I can trust in God to just keep me strong and have Him be my refuge, you know, when things are hitting me hard, I can always go to Him for security. It's so strong on me that my wife can trust in me more because she knows I won't break. You know, that's one thing I realize is my wife trusts in me a lot because she knows that whatever happens, I'll find a way, and I always find a way through my relationship with Christ. And I have 4 minutes, so it's actually kind of cutting out really quick. You know, but a lot of things also is we have a lot of things nowadays that you didn't have back in the time. You know, I mean, pornography, pictures of just tons of stuff. I mean, you go to Vegas. I grew up in Vegas before I came here, and you would just see half-naked women on these buses driving past. You know, there's a lot of more sexuality out there. You know, a lot of stuff that's kind of advertised out there, and that's just that's just one thing where, you know, I would pray to get in a relationship with Christ, because I honestly feel like when you have a relationship with Christ, you're just so in tuned. You know, you have your priorities straight, and that's just one thing too. Is, you know, in your marriage, have your priorities straight. You know exactly what you want to do. Know that nothing is worth your marriage. And then, you know, when temptations come, they're not so hard to deal with. They're not so hard to push away. And if you have your priorities on your kids and just your family, you know, it all becomes so easy, you know. And it's what God calls us to do. That's one thing I've realized is, you know, we've gotten a lot of help throughout our struggles and everything like that, but I realize it's just people seeing that I'm working my hardest to be a good dad and to invest time with my kids. I'm working my hardest to invest time with my wife and have that relationship. And when you go and invest time into things that God calls you to do, you are not going to be left hanging. You know, you will have great memories. You have a great marriage, and things, you know, they're just very rewarding. And you know, there's a lot of things that can take that away. There's a lot of things that can get in between that, and you just got to hang through there and just kind of stomp your foot down, show your strength. And I might take this message. I know I'm kind of coming up on time, and I might need to get some water right now because my throat's kind of getting dry. I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna check out this message, and I might do kind of like a part 2. So please, thank you for you know, staying in tune with me and following these messages. And I hope that you like what I do, and I hope that you like this message. And if you don't, check out my next one. And I hope it connects with you. And I will talk to you soon. And I'm gonna probably do a second message to this one I'm doing right now. So it'll be a second video to the 5th message. Thank you.